Welcome to Thunga's Story Time, where ancient whispers meet modern dreams. Tonight, we're journeying back thousands of years to uncover the strangely soothing secrets of the world's very first bedtime routine. Ever wondered why we really count sheep to fall asleep? The answer might surprise you, and it starts in the moonlit fields of ancient Sumer. Get cozy, dim the lights, and let Thunga guide you through mystical tales, dreamy rituals, and a legacy of rest that still echoes today. Hit that subscribe button and let the story begin. Sumerian nighttime rituals. Drift into ancient Mesopotamia. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Imagine yourself thousands of years ago, in the heart of ancient Sumer, one of the world's earliest civilizations. The sun has just dipped below the dusty horizon. Its final rays scatter golden rose across the sky before fading into deep indigo. Night begins to settle over the plains of Mesopotamia. The day's labor, planting in irrigated fields, trading in bustling markets, tending herds, has ended. Now comes a slower rhythm, one that hums with rest and ritual. In a small mud brick home, nestled among narrow streets and palm-lined canals, a Sumerian family prepares for the night. The air cools. A soft breeze flutters through the reed windows, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and distant myrrh. By the doorway, a clay lamp is lit. Its flame flickers gently, casting warm, dancing shadows on the walls. The light is not bright, it wasn't meant to be. It's enough to soften the edges of the day, not chase them away. Just enough to make the home feel like a sanctuary. Inside, the family's rituals begin. There is no rush, no noise. Just movement and memory. A woven mat is unrolled on the floor. Cushions are placed. A father murmurs a quiet prayer to Nana, the moon god, whose silvery light now begins to pour over the rooftops. He asks for peace in dreams, for safety through the night, and for clarity in visions that may come. A mother prepares a simple herbal infusion, perhaps steeped with crushed mint leaves, dried barley petals, or a pinch of wild thyme. The steam rises slowly from the cup, soothing the senses. These herbs aren't just flavor. To the Sumerians, they were blessings of the earth, gifts for rest, for clarity, for stillness. Children listen as a grandmother begins to tell an old tale, one passed down from her own childhood. It's about a clever fox who outwits a storm god. Or perhaps it's about a girl who finds a song inside a star. The story is soft, her voice slow, like a lullaby in words. As the tale unfolds, imaginations drift and eyelids grow heavy. In another corner of the city, a lone shepherd returns from the pastures just as night fully claims the land. He washes his hands in a shallow bowl and quietly thanks the gods for the safety of his flock. His home is humble, perhaps just a single room, but tonight, it is enough. He too lights a small lamp and sets it near the threshold to guide wandering spirits away, a quiet gesture of spiritual hygiene passed down through generations. Meanwhile, temple priests ascend the steps of a nearby ziggurat. Their white linen robes shimmer faintly in the moonlight. From the top, they offer chants to the night gods, soft tones, rhythmic and low, echoing over the silent city. Their voices are like wind through stone, calling for balance, protection, and dream vision. Back in the home, sleep preparations continue. A father takes a tiny amulet carved from lapis lazuli and places it under his child's headrest. It's shaped like a star, the symbol of Inanna, goddess of the heavens. He believes it will guard the child's dreams. Nearby, a bowl of crushed incense smolders slowly, releasing its scent of cedar and resin into the air, calming the breath and mind. The family lies down together in the warmth of one another's presence. The stars outside shimmer brighter now, reflected in the river that winds through the city. From rooftops, some still gaze upward, watching constellations they've known for generations. Each one has a story, a god, a hero, a lesson hidden in the sky. For Sumerians, sleep isn't just rest. It's a crossing into another world. And every night, that journey begins with care. Their rituals weren't extravagant. They weren't for show. They were personal, spiritual, and above all, intentional. These ancient people believed sleep was sacred. That dreams were messages. That the night, while dark, held quiet gifts. And in honoring those hours with light, story, scent, and prayer, they taught their minds to let go gently. To float into dreams, not fall. To slip into the arms of rest, not crash into it. So tonight, as you prepare for your own rest, consider the quiet wisdom of these ancient people. A soft light. A calming scent. A whispered prayer. A gentle story. In these small things lies a timeless peace. Let your mind settle. Let your breath slow. Let the rituals of long ago guide you into sleep. Counting sheep origins. Let your mind wander into the fields of a slower time. Outside the quiet home where oil lamps flicker and the scent of herbs lingers in the air, the land stretches wide and dark beneath the stars. The moon is high now, casting its silvery light across the open fields where sheep once grazed during the day. In the stillness, only the soft chirp of night insects and the distant rustle of reeds along the river can be heard. And it's here, in this silence, that another ritual begins. One even older than the written tales and incense prayers. One so simple, so timeless, it still survives today. though we may not realize where it began. Counting sheep. To the ancient Sumerians, this wasn't a children's trick or cartoon cliché. It was a nightly rhythm. A calming mental practice that echoed the patterns of their daily lives. In a world where shepherds were guardians, and flocks meant survival, sheep were more than animals, they were symbols of order, prosperity, and peace. Imagine now that you are one of those shepherds. Your day was long, but now it is over. You have led your flock safely across the dusty plains and brought them back to the village. The animals are fed. The pens are secured. The stars overhead remind you of old stories and celestial beings watching over the earth. But before you sleep, your mind still lingers in the fields. You close your eyes and begin to count. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3. In your imagination, you watch them walk, slowly, steadily, each one stepping calmly into the safety of its enclosure. With every count, your thoughts soften. Your breathing slows. The worries of the day fade, step by step, sheep by sheep. To the Sumerians, this mental image wasn't trivial. It was sacred. Each sheep counted was a gesture of care, of attention, of closure. Counting meant that all was well. That nothing was lost. That everything had returned to where it belonged. And just as they believed dreams were divine messages, they believed that how one entered sleep mattered. The ritual of counting, steady, repetitive, intentional, was a bridge between the waking world and the dream world. It helped clear the mind. It soothed the body. And it aligned the spirit with the rhythms of the night. Some would sit by the low doorway of their homes, facing the fields they knew so well. Others would lie beside their families, whispering the numbers softly under their breath. It didn't matter if they had 10 sheep or 100. The number was less important than the motion of the mind, slow, gentle, focused. In some villages, small clay tokens in the shape of sheep were used as tools for this nightly counting. A shepherd might keep them in a pouch, moving one at a time to mark the passage of each imagined step. The sound of each piece dropping into a shallow bowl added to the rhythm. A soft clink. Then silence. Then another. Children learned it early. Not just for sleep, but for focus. For calm. It taught patience, trust, and care. And for those who were older, who carried the weight of harvests, family, or trade, counting sheep was a way to release control, to return to something familiar and safe. Even the priests, in their elevated temples, were known to use counting as a spiritual discipline. For them, it wasn't sheep, but stars. They would count constellations overhead, or steps in their meditations, each number a link in a chain that led them toward divine silence. But among the everyday people, especially those who lived close to the earth, sheep were the natural choice. They represented all that was gentle, all that was steady. Their slow steps mirrored the movement of thought into rest. Back in your Sumerian home, you continue your count. 7 sheep, 8, 9. You picture them clearly. Their wool, soft and dense. Their eyes, calm and trusting. Each one passes through a narrow gate in your mind, one you've imagined 1,000 times. Beyond it lies a quiet pasture. A place where thought ends and dreaming begins. And even if you lose count, it doesn't matter. That, too, is part of the magic. Losing the number is a sign you've begun to drift. That your conscious mind is loosening its grip, letting go of the day. Letting the night take over. This was the beauty of Sumerian rituals. They weren't rigid or complex. They didn't require perfection. They only asked for presence. And in the act of counting, Sumerians gave themselves permission to release control, to enter sleep gently, not with force but with trust. You take another breath now. Slow, steady. Somewhere between 10 and 20 sheep. Maybe more. Maybe less. It no longer matters. What matters is that the rhythm has carried you here, to a place where the body is still, and the mind is soft. Thousands of years may have passed. The cities of Sumer are ruins now. Their gods are whispered only in museums and books. But this ritual remains. In bedrooms across the world, people still count sheep. Not knowing that in doing so, they echo the oldest civilizations. The first dreamers. The first keepers of rest. So tonight, as you lie in your own room, in your own time, know that this practice is ancient. That your peaceful thoughts are connected to shepherds who once looked up at the same stars. That even now, with every slow count, you walk the same path they did, from waking into dreaming. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3. Sleep well. Clay tablet bedtime stories. Let the glow of ancient words guide you to sleep. The sheep have been counted. The mind has begun its quiet descent into rest. Outside, the Mesopotamian night deepens, the stars shimmering like grains of sand scattered across a dark velvet cloth. The air is still. Cool. The day has been washed away. Inside the mud brick home, the oil lamp continues its gentle flicker, casting soft amber light across the walls. The shadows it creates shift and dance, like old spirits stretching before they too fall asleep. But before slumber fully takes hold, one final ritual remains, a favorite for many Sumerian families. The stories. By the soft glow of flame, they gather. Parents, children, elders, wrapped in linen or wool, lying on woven mats or sitting shoulder to shoulder. And there, beside them, lies a small clay tablet. Perhaps it's etched with neat cuneiform signs, pressed carefully into wet clay and baked in the sun to last forever. Or perhaps it's an older one, passed down through generations, worn smooth along its edges by countless nights just like this one. A mother picks up the tablet and holds it near the flame. Its surface catches the light, the marks upon it casting long, soft shadows. She begins to read, not loudly, but with a calm, rhythmic voice. Not to perform, but to guide. The words are slow, steady, full of music. The tale is not short, nor is it rushed. It unfolds like the river, wide and winding. In the time before time, when the Tigris and Euphrates danced freely through the land, the gods gathered in the heavens. The children's eyes widen as they listen. Tonight, the story might be about Enki, the clever god of water and wisdom, who once taught the fish how to swim and whispered the secrets of language into reeds along the banks. Or maybe it's about Dumuzid, the shepherd king, whose love for Inanna, queen of the heavens, could bend the seasons. Other nights bring stories of animals who speak, foxes who trick giants, tortoises who travel the stars, or crows who carry messages between the gods and men. These aren't just tales. They're lessons, woven with humor, mystery, and meaning. The words don't rush. Each one lands like a drop of rain on dry earth, deliberate, nourishing. And as the story flows, time begins to blur. The oil lamp hums softly. The room feels warmer, even though the night has grown cooler. The rhythm of the tale begins to mirror something deeper. A heartbeat. A breath. The natural rhythm of the earth. In Sumerian tradition, stories were more than entertainment. They were bridges, between generations, between the physical and spiritual worlds. To speak them aloud at night was an act of grounding, of remembering, of offering something timeless to the ones you love. And while not every home had a clay tablet to read from, most knew at least a few stories by heart. Some were passed on from parent to child through countless evenings under stars. Others were taught in temples, copied by scribes, shared in markets. But it was in the home, quiet, intimate, unhurried, where these tales truly came alive. One such story, often told before sleep, was the tale of the river lion. Long ago, a lion lived beside the great river. He drank its water and roared its thunder, but never crossed it. He feared what lay beyond. One night, the river spoke, "Come see what waits." And so the lion walked across the water, step by step, learning not to rule, but to listen. And there, on the far bank, he found peace. Simple, but not small. To the Sumerians, even the most humble story could carry wisdom. About courage. About listening. About the gods. Or about something more personal, something each listener could feel in their bones. The child's head begins to rest against her father's arm. A baby coos softly before drifting off. And still, the words continue, slow and steady, like the footsteps of a dream approaching from far away. As the tale draws to a close, there is no applause. No sudden end. Just silence. A silence that holds the weight of the story like a blanket. A silence that lets the tale echo in the heart, not the air. The mother sets the tablet down beside the lamp. The clay is cool to the touch. The marks on it ancient. Still legible after all these years. Tomorrow night, perhaps a different story will be told. Or maybe the same one. It doesn't matter. In the Sumerian world, repetition wasn't dull. It was sacred. Each retelling deepened its meaning, strengthened its roots. Outside, the stars still shimmer. A ziggurat looms in the distance, its edges softened by moonlight. All across the city, other families are doing the same, sharing stories, honoring night, easing gently into sleep. And in these simple, careful moments, something eternal happens. Something that outlasts the empires, the floods, the wars. A connection is made. Between people. Between past and present. Between the living and the dreaming. So tonight, as you prepare to rest in your own world, surrounded not by clay but by paper, screens, pillows, know that this, too, is your heritage. That deep within you lies the same need. For story. For voice. For rhythm. For peace. Close your eyes. Let the words echo. Let your own heartbeat find the rhythm of an ancient tale and dream. A shepherd's night watch. Step into the hush of a hillside under stars. The stories have ended. The clay tablet rests beside the lamp. The family, now curled together beneath woven blankets, slips slowly into dreams. The night deepens, but not everyone sleeps. Up on a gentle hillside beyond the edge of the village, a shepherd stands quietly in the dark, eyes lifted to the sky. His flock is settled in the tall grass, their shapes soft and round, almost blending into the shadows. The stars above shimmer faintly. The moon casts a pale silver light across the plain. This is his world, simple, silent, sacred. He does not speak. There is no need. His language now is made of small gestures. A breath. A shift of his weight. The light crack of a dry twig beneath his foot. The quiet snuffing of a lamb near his ankle. The night is still. Occasionally, the call of an owl echoes from a far-off tree. Or the wind rustles low through the grass, tugging gently at the edge of his robe. But these are not interruptions. They are part of the rhythm. The music of the watch. In the world of the Sumerians, shepherds were more than caretakers, they were guardians, observers of the land, keepers of calm. Their task wasn't only to protect the sheep, but to embody the quiet strength of patience. To remain present, awake, gentle. This shepherd, like many before him, knows his flock by heart. He can tell by the smallest sound if something is wrong, a hoof catching on a stone, a lamb stirring with unease. But tonight, all is well. The sheep sleep, breathing slowly, clustered close for warmth. So he watches. Above him, constellations stretch across the sky. The Sumerians named them long ago: the plow, the bull of heaven, the swallow. Each one a symbol, a story, a guide. He knows them all. They help him keep time. They remind him of tales told by his grandfather, and his grandfather's grandfather, nights just like this one. Somewhere below, the village dreams. But up here, the world feels ancient, untouched, even eternal. He adjusts the woolen shawl over his shoulders and sits down on a flat stone. From this height, he can see the line of the Euphrates winding softly through the darkness like a sleeping serpent. In the distance, a ziggurat rises, its silhouette faint but steady, like the heartbeat of the city. He listens to the silence, to the rhythm of nothing. And in that nothing, something sacred stirs. To a shepherd, stillness isn't empty. It's full of presence, of breath, of quiet knowing. It is during these hours, when the world forgets to rush, that the shepherd feels most alive. There is no need for words, no need for light. The stars are enough. The sheep are enough. The steady beat of his own heart is enough. He remembers the stories told earlier in the village, the tale of the river lion, the clever fox, the sky god. He remembers his mother's voice, reading by lamplight. He remembers, too, how he used to lie beneath his father's cloak, years ago, hearing the same stories while the flock slept nearby. Now it is his watch. The shepherd rises and walks the boundary of the pasture. His feet know the path. Even in darkness, he doesn't stumble. He moves slowly, not to avoid waking the flock, but because there's no need to hurry. The night is long, and each moment has room to stretch. When he returns to his stone, he sits again. He looks up. The moon has shifted. The stars have turned. Time is passing, but gently. Like a river in no rush. He closes his eyes, not to sleep, but to listen more deeply. To feel the soft pulse of the world around him. In this stillness, he senses the presence of the divine. Not in thunder or fire, but in peace. In care. In the hush of night. In Sumerian belief, the gods watched closely at night. They walked the stars. They moved through dreams. And they favored those who stayed alert, not out of fear, but out of devotion. The shepherd's watch was not only practical. It was holy. He is not lonely. The sheep are with him. The stars are with him. The memory of stories, of family, of long-lost shepherds now part of the land, they, too, are with him. In this moment, the past and present are one. The hillside could be any hillside, in any century. The watch could belong to any man, from any age, but it is his. And he honors it. Eventually, a faint glow touches the edge of the eastern sky. Just a breath of light. The moon begins its slow descent. A bird stirs somewhere in the brush. Morning is on its way. The shepherd stands. He stretches quietly. The flock begins to rustle, sensing the change. A lamb bleats softly, half asleep. One by one, the sheep rise. Another night has passed. Another watch completed. He will guide them back soon, down the hill, past the quiet fields, back toward the waking village. But for now, he lingers just a moment longer. He looks at the stars once more before they fade. He places a hand on the head of the nearest sheep. It leans into him, trusting, warm. There is no need to speak. This night, like so many before it, will be remembered not in words, but in feeling. In the slow rhythm of the stars. In the silence of a flock at peace. In the heart of the man who knows how to listen. And tonight, as you lie in your bed, far from that ancient hillside, you carry a piece of that peace within you. In your own breath. In your own stillness. In the knowledge that somewhere, long ago, a shepherd watched the stars, and all was well. Sleep deeply. And let the rhythm of the night carry you. Ziggurat shadows at dusk. Walk softly beneath ancient stone, where the earth meets the sky. The shepherd has begun his slow descent down the hillside, his flock trailing peacefully behind him as the last stars fade into the horizon. The village stirs gently in the distance, but you, your dream self, follow a different path. You walk toward something older, more mysterious. You walk toward the ziggurat. It rises before you like a sleeping mountain, its massive steps stacked one upon another, reaching skyward from the earth like a ladder for the gods. The sun has long since slipped away, leaving the sky dusky and deep. The ziggurat casts long, heavy shadows that stretch across the ground like ancient fingers pulling night into being. The air here is cooler. Heavier. Not because of fear, there's no fear here, but because of awe. You feel it in your chest as you approach, the stillness of centuries. The sacredness of this place. Once, these stone steps bore the footprints of kings and high priests, scribes and star watchers. Here, Prayers were offered to the gods not in shouts but in silence, not in haste but in harmony. Each level of the ziggurat brought the people one step closer to the heavens, and though few could climb to its summit, all who passed near it felt its power. You walk slowly, barefoot on warm stone, and feel the last warmth of the sun still lingering in the ziggurat's massive bricks. The night has not fully taken hold yet, but it will. The sky is deepening, purple fading into indigo, indigo darkening into blue. From somewhere inside the temple at its core, you hear them, voices soft, low, and steady. The priests. Their chants do not call attention. They do not command the heavens. Instead, they drift like mist. A single tone at first, then another layered beneath it. Like the coiling of incense, the sound curls upward and outward. You can't make out the words, not fully, but the vibration finds its way into you. Into your bones. Into your breath. It is not a song for humans. It is a song for the night. You pause, eyes closed, and listen. Na, li, z. The syllables move like water over stone. Old, sacred. Each one offered with care, as though the priests are weaving sleep itself into the air. These are not grand hymns of daylight. These are lullabies for the gods. Songs meant to soothe the divine into rest, so that mortals, too, might rest peacefully beneath their watch. You walk further, circling the base of the great structure. The shadows grow longer now, softer at the edges. A breeze picks up, carrying with it the scent of clay, wild herbs, and distant firelight. You see others, too, figures wrapped in linen robes, moving quietly through the twilight, stopping here and there to light small oil lamps at altars carved into the stone. The flame flickers. The chants continue. For the Sumerians, the ziggurat wasn't simply a building. It was a bridge between worlds. A tether from the earth to the heavens. A place where human ritual met cosmic order. And as night descended, it became more than a temple. It became the guardian of dreams. You climb a few steps, not all the way, just enough to feel the elevation, to see the plains stretching out in every direction. From here, you can glimpse the river, silver and winding. You can hear the far-off bleat of a sheep and imagine the shepherd settling in for rest. You think of the family back in the village, sleeping with a clay tablet near their lamp. You think of stars above, of stories told, of slow breaths and quiet prayers. And here, right here at the base of the ziggurat, you feel them all converge. The chants grow softer now, like waves receding. You sit on a wide stone ledge and close your eyes. The rhythm of the voices becomes the rhythm of your breath. You inhale slowly. The scent of ancient stone. You exhale even slower. The weight of the day leaves your chest. You inhale again. The memory of the stars. You exhale. Peace. The priests continue their song, but it's no longer separate from you. You are part of it now, resting in its cadence, rocked gently by its tones. To the Sumerians, night was never a time of emptiness, it was a time of connection. As the sun fell and the land darkened, the boundaries between worlds thinned. Dreams were clearer. The gods were closer. The ziggurat stood as both anchor and invitation, reminding all who passed beneath it that even in darkness, there was presence, meaning, order. You lie back against the cool stone, arms folded beneath your head, and look up. The first stars emerge. A few at first. Then many. Then all. They wheel above the ziggurat slowly, like dancers in a sacred procession. You don't speak. There's nothing left to say. You just breathe. And as the night deepens, the chants fade into silence, not because they've ended, but because you've joined them, the sound now folded completely into the hush of the world. Sleep hovers nearby, patient and kind. And as you drift there, wrapped in the shadow of a great ancient monument, you feel it again, that stillness. That knowing, that even here, in a land long lost to time, the night was a friend. A guide. A soft place to land. Let it hold you now. Let it carry you. Ancient sleep remedies. Sip slowly. Let nature lull you to rest. You leave the ziggurat behind. Its shadow still clings softly to the edge of your thoughts, the hum of the priestly chants lingering like incense in your memory. The night is now fully wrapped around you, cool and deep, like a dark blue blanket over the land. Stars twinkle brighter. The wind is slower. Somewhere, a clay door creaks shut in the distance. The day is gone. You walk back through the winding village streets, where homes of mud brick and straw sleep quietly under the night sky. Oil lamps flicker behind closed shutters. Laughter has faded into silence. Feet no longer tread the pathways. The whole world seems to be holding its breath, waiting. But inside one small home, there is a soft glow. You step through the doorway, your dream self again, and are welcomed not by words but by warmth. The room is simple, woven rugs, low clay shelves, bundles of herbs hung carefully from the rafters. A few fading embers smolder in the hearth. And on the small table beside it sits a clay cup, steaming gently. Its scent rises to meet you. Earthy. Bitter. Fragrant. This is a Sumerian sleep brew, a nighttime ritual almost as old as the ziggurat itself. Not magical, not mysterious, but known. Trusted. Built from the land, from the earth, from the wisdom passed between generations like songs or stories. You sit beside the cup and lift it in your hands. It's warm, heavy. You feel the steam curl against your face, inviting your muscles to soften, your breath to slow. It is not just tea, it is medicine. The Sumerians believed the body was part of the universe, that rest and health came from aligning ourselves with nature's rhythm. When night arrived, it was time not just to sleep, but to prepare the mind and spirit for dream. And so, they turned to plants. To the quiet power of roots, leaves, and blossoms. This cup holds their legacy. You take a sip. Fennel. Sweet and earthy, it settles in your mouth like a whisper. The Sumerians believed fennel opened the gates of dreaming. It cleared the fog between the waking world and the dream world, allowing messages from the gods to pass through. Another sip. Mint. Sharp and cooling, it follows the fennel like a breeze across a quiet field. Mint was a plant of peace, of clarity, of quiet. It relaxed the nerves, slowed the heartbeat, and grounded the soul. The women of the village would rub mint leaves between their fingers before bedtime, letting the scent calm restless children. Another sip. Wildflowers. The soft, floral bitterness hums at the edge of your tongue. Dried petals of yellow and blue, gathered near the riverbank, brewed slowly in warm water. The Sumerians used these not just for flavor, but for their hush. They quieted the chatter in the mind, the stories, the worries, the leftover noise of the day. You set the cup down and breathe deeply. The room seems to exhale with you. You're not alone. Someone, perhaps the matriarch of the household, moves gently through the space, adjusting a clock here, checking a sleeping child there. She hums softly to herself, a lullaby you don't quite recognize but somehow know. She plucks a bundle of dried herbs from the ceiling and tucks it beneath the child's pillow. Perhaps anise to chase off bad dreams. Perhaps time for strength. You close your eyes and listen to the sound of dried leaves crinkling. It is as calming as the chant of priests, as steady as a shepherd's watch, as timeless as stars. The Sumerians didn't separate healing from everyday life. The herbs were not confined to temples or healers. They lived in the home. In the kitchens. In the corners of beds. Each plant known by name, each remedy handed down through practice, not with fanfare, but with faith. You lean back against a low pillow and let the warmth of the brew spread through your chest. It doesn't push sleep upon you. It invites it. Like a friend. Like a guide. The hum of the night returns. A reed wind brushes past the shutter. Somewhere, a night bird cries and then falls silent again. The stars continue their slow, patient turn above. You think of the shepherd, his watchful eyes glowing beneath the moon. You think of the chants inside the ziggurat, still vibrating softly in the air. You think of the clay tablet story, of clever animals and river gods. You think of the sheep, counted one by one, returning to their pen in peace. Now your body is the pen. And your thoughts, your breath, your tension, they are the sheep. Each one slowly returning, in order, in silence, back to rest. You sip the last of the brew. Warmth fills your limbs. Heaviness hums gently behind your eyes. And you know now why these remedies lasted for thousands of years, not because they were powerful, but because they were kind. This was the wisdom of the Sumerians, that sleep is not something we chase, but something we welcome. That the earth offers what we need if we take the time to listen. That peace begins not in silence, but in slowness. You pull the blanket up over your chest. Outside, the wind softens again. And inside, your mind drifts like a leaf on water, floating between thought and dream, past memory and myth, toward rest. Let the herbs hold you. Let the night carry you. Sleep. Now you are ready. The quieting marketplace. Even the busy places learn to sleep. The last sips of the herbal brew still warm your chest as you rise from the woven mat in that quiet home. Outside, the night stretches patiently over the land like a soft robe. And while the ziggurat rests behind you, and the shepherd's hill lies beyond the edge of memory, one more scene calls you forward. You walk now toward the marketplace, not in the peak of its noise and chaos, but in the gentle hush of its ending. The path curves softly under your bare feet. Clay streets, swept clean by the wind, guide you between the shadows of sleeping homes and shuttered stalls. You smell the remnants of something sweet, dried fruit, roasted barley, warm bread that's long since been eaten. Ahead, under flickering lantern light, the market still breathes, but just barely. Once, hours earlier, it would have roared, potters calling over their wheels, traders bartering in loud voices, children darting between baskets of dates and figs, and the clash of bronze scales measuring grains and copper. But that noise has passed. Now, it is quieting, and that quiet has its own music. You step between stalls of canvas and wood, many now half covered, their goods packed gently into baskets. A woman folds her textiles, bold stripes of indigo and red fading in the dusk. She doesn't look up, but her hands move with the grace of repetition. A man secures the lids on his clay jars, tapping them lightly as if they were old friends. A boy finishes stacking dried fish on a tray, his mother gently placing a reed mat over them. Even the goats that wandered freely through the market earlier have gone. A few lazy chickens rustle under baskets, settling into their corners like feathers drifting to the earth. You breathe in. The smell of spices still lingers here. Cinnamon bark, crushed coriander, cumin seeds. Their scent, even in the cool air, feels warm, comforting. They rise from the cracks in the wood, soaked into woven baskets and clay bowls from years of trade and stories. These are the smells of a day's work, of cooking fires, merchant palms, and homebound dinners. A lantern flickers beside you. Then another. You notice how the light plays against the worn stones beneath your feet, shadows stretching in long golden ribbons. The night isn't hurrying the market away. It's easing it into rest, the same way a mother would hush a child, softly, slowly, kindly. You pass a spice vendor brushing out his stall. His hands are stained with turmeric, his fingernails tinted orange. He sees you, offers a slow nod. No words are exchanged. None are needed, because even in silence, the market speaks. A few stalls down, a potter carefully wraps the last of his wares in straw and linen. He works with reverence. You sense that each pot, each jar, has a place, a story, a value beyond its shape. This is not assembly. This is ritual. Nearby, an old man stirs the coals of a small fire beneath the kettle, offering a final cup of barley tea to a fellow trader. Their eyes meet briefly as steam rises between them, blending with the stars above. They smile, tired, content. The day is done. You find a stone bench near the edge of the market and sit. From here, you can see it all, the once bustling square now softened into a gentle blur of movement and stillness. The slow folding of fabric. The tightening of ropes. The extinguishing of lanterns, one by one. Even the animals know it's time. A donkey tied loosely to a post lets out a long, yawning breath. Two dogs curl against the side of a stall, ears twitching, eyes closed. Above you, the constellations emerge, tiny fires rekindled in the night sky. The same stars the Sumerians watched to mark seasons and trade routes now shine just as softly on the quiet market below. And it occurs to you, as your breath slows and your body eases into the bench, that rest doesn't always arrive in bedrooms or behind closed doors. Sometimes, it shows up in places you don't expect, in the afterglow of busyness, when everything begins to quiet down. This market, for all its chaos during the day, knows how to slow. It doesn't resist night. It welcomes it. And that, too, is a kind of wisdom. The Sumerians believed in balance. Between light and dark, work and rest, noise and silence. The marketplace was never just a place for business, it was a place where community pulsed. And in that final hour, when everything winds down, the market becomes something sacred. A moment. A breath. You close your eyes for just a moment. You feel the warmth of the day still lingering on the stones. The last tints of spice on the air. The hush of footsteps fading behind you. The familiar, slow rhythm of sleep drawing near again. Tomorrow the market will rise again, full of sound and color and movement. But tonight, it rests. And so do you. Riverbank lullabies. Where water sings and the earth hums a child to sleep. From the quieted market, your feet take you down an older, softer path, one worn by sandals, carts, and the memories of countless evenings. You pass gardens tucked between houses and stone-lined wells. You pass goats curled up beside doorways, their eyes already closed. You pass a weaver resting by her loom, her hands still, the thread trailing like a silver ribbon across her lap. And then, you hear it. Not a song, exactly. Not a voice, really. But something in between. A hum. A hush. A sound as old as breath itself. You follow it. The village opens gently toward the Euphrates River, the silver ribbon of water that has watched over Sumer for millennia. It flows steady and slow, as if it too is winding down for the night. The moonlight dances on its rippling surface, and the breeze that rides its back smells of wet reeds, earth, and stars. You step closer. Here, at the edge of the reeds, the world is wrapped in a lullaby. Mothers sit cross-legged on woven mats, their children cradled close. Some babies are still, already asleep in the crook of an arm. Others blink slowly at the sky, fighting sleep with the soft strength only children know. And the mothers sing. The melodies are not written. They are not rehearsed. These lullabies are passed down mouth to mouth, heart to heart. Each one different. Each one familiar. The tunes rise and fall with the rhythm of the river, gentle and unhurried. One mother rocks her infant slowly, humming of stars and gods and safe journeys home. Another pats her daughters back to the soft beat of a song about boats, fish, and full baskets. The words aren't important. The feeling is. Their voices are warm, low, breathy, more air than sound. You sit quietly at the river's edge and close your eyes. The reeds rustle like whispers. The river murmurs to the sand. Frogs add their quiet percussion, and insects their tiny song. The breeze brushes against your skin, lifting a strand of hair, tugging at the corner of a mat. Together, these sounds form a lullaby not just for children, but for the whole night. You open your eyes again and look around. There is a kind of sacred peace here. No walls. No firelight. No chants or brews or structured rituals. Just nature, and people moving gently within it. The riverbank is their cradle, the sky their blanket. And the lullaby? It's everywhere. A grandmother nearby wraps her grandchild in a light cloth, singing softly in a language of stars and soil. The boy's head nods, eyelids growing heavy. His tiny fingers grasp a reed whistle, which slips quietly from his hand as sleep takes hold. Further down the riverbank, Two sisters braid each other's hair while their younger brother drifts off beside them. One of them sings a tune in a loop, like waves meeting shore. Shoo shoo, the moon walks. Shoo shoo, the stars blink. Shoo shoo, the earth breathes. The Sumerians knew the power of sleep. They revered dreams as messages from the gods, and they respected the rituals that led to rest. But they also understood that sometimes, the simplest things were the most sacred: a song, a child, a river at night. They believed that the Euphrates was more than water. It was a life bringer, a voice, a spirit. To sing beside it was not only to soothe the child, it was to align your voice with the rhythm of the world. You dip your hand into the river. The water is cool, smooth, slow-moving. It wraps around your fingers and flows on, undisturbed. You imagine it passing countless villages, thousands of songs, countless children rocked to sleep under this same moon, with this same breeze in the reeds. This moment has happened before. It will happen again. You lie back against a patch of soft grass. Overhead, the stars twinkle brighter now. Constellations slowly rise, those same ones you saw above the ziggurat, above the shepherd's hill, above the marketplace winding down. The entire sky, like the river, seems to hum. The lullabies continue, but you're not listening with your ears anymore. You feel them with your breath. You feel them in your chest. You are part of the song now, not a visitor to it. And as your eyes close, you wonder if the earth itself is singing. Maybe the lullabies weren't invented by mothers or passed through generations. Maybe they're simply echoes, reverberations of something much older, much wiser. The planet humming to its children, reminding them they are safe, loved, held. Tonight, by the banks of the Euphrates, you are one of those children. You turn your head slightly toward the water and let its song carry you. The reeds rustle again. The lullaby continues. Sleep is near, and the river watches over you. Temple ceremonies for sleep. When even the gods asked for silence, the river's lullaby still hums in your bones as you rise from the grass. The Euphrates continues to flow behind you, steady, eternal, whispering soft songs to reeds and stars. But now, drawn by a new kind of stillness, your steps turn toward the temple. It stands not far from the village center, past clay homes and gardens cooling under moonlight. It rises quiet and dignified, a place made of stone and silence. Unlike the towering ziggurat that cast long shadows at dusk, this temple hums with an inward glow, subtle, like the moments just before sleep takes hold. The air changes as you draw near. The scent of the river fades, replaced by something older: frankincense, myrrh, and crushed sandalwood. The smell wraps around you gently, drifting from small stone burners lining the temple steps. The smoke rises in slow curls, moving like water, tracing invisible paths toward the stars. You ascend the steps, barefoot. Each stone is warm from the day's sun, but already cooling. You pause for a moment before entering, placing your palm against the carved threshold, a symbol of respect. The Sumerians believed the gods walked these halls at night. You enter with the reverence of someone stepping into sacred sleep itself. Inside, the world is hushed. Thick walls muffle the sounds of the outside. You can just barely hear the wind. The river has grown quiet behind you. The interior is lit only by low-burning lamps, their flames dancing against the stone. The walls are inscribed with symbols, cuneiform prayers, soft spirals, celestial maps. These are the stories of dreams, of gods who whisper wisdom into sleeping minds. You aren't alone. Around the main chamber, temple priests in long linen robes move with careful intention. Their feet barely make a sound. Each carries a task, some tending to the incense, others preparing offerings: bowls of barley, small pots of oil, reed baskets filled with flower petals and herbs for dream rites. A slow chant begins. It doesn't start all at once. It unfolds, layer by layer. A single voice. Then two. Then a soft chorus. The words are ancient, sung in a tongue few outside these walls would understand. But you don't need to. You feel it more than you hear it, a vibration that settles into the air, into your chest, into the very stones around you. These are hymns for rest. They're not grand or commanding. They're low, flowing, circular. They rise and fall like the breath of someone just about to sleep. The harmonies drift through the arches, echo softly across the ceiling, and slide down again into the floor beneath your feet. The gods being honored tonight, not of war, not of grain, not even of the sky. Tonight's offerings go to gods of rest, to Ninkersag, the Earth Mother, and to Nena, god of the moon and dreams. Their statues sit at the far end of the hall, lit by a single oil lamp each. Nana's face is carved smooth, serene. His eyes are closed, as if already deep in sleep. The priests bow before him. You kneel nearby, and for the first time, truly understand, this ceremony is not just about religion. It's not just about worship. It's about allowing the body and soul to let go. The Sumerians believed sleep was sacred, not just a necessity, but a time when divine truths were passed into human hearts. Dreams were not random. They were messages, guidance, prophecy, healing. And just like planting seeds required good soil, receiving dreams required preparation. These ceremonies were that preparation. The chanting continues, now accompanied by the soft rhythm of hand drums, slow and steady, like a heartbeat. The incense thickens. You feel your breath deepen, your limbs grow heavier. Time seems to bend here. Minutes stretch into hours. Or maybe it's the other way around. The priests begin a ritual procession. They circle the room once, twice, 3 times, sprinkling drops of perfumed water onto the stones. With each pass, they offer whispered prayers for the village's rest. For protection through the night. For clear dreams. For peaceful hearts. Children sometimes attend, nestled against parents' robes, their heads nodding as the songs carry them away. Tonight, a small girl leans sleepily against her mother's lap, eyelids fluttering like moth wings. A priest passes and gently brushes a flower across her brow, a blessing of dreams. You press your hands to the floor and feel the hum beneath you. The building itself seems to breathe. It holds the energy of 100 years of prayers. 1,000 dreams. Every stone is worn with purpose. Every mark carved with care. This place is not just a temple, it is a vessel. A dream keeper. And you are a guest in its memory. As the ritual winds down, the priests return to their starting places. The incense is low. The chants soften into silence. One final offering is placed at Nana's feet, a single feather, said to carry messages between the waking and dreaming worlds. The flames flicker lower now. You rise slowly, bow once more to the altar, and step outside. The stars are clearer than ever. The air is cooler. The world is utterly still. And within you, the echoes of the temple's song continue to resonate. Your heart is slower. Your thoughts are gentler. The gods of sleep have been honored. And the night welcomes you once again. Interpreting dreams, messages from the stars. Outside the temple, the air is still and cool. The sacred chants have quieted, and the moon hangs high above the rooftops of the village, casting silver light on sleeping homes. The pathways of baked earth are empty now, except for the stars, which continue their slow watch over the world. As you walk quietly through the village, something lingers from the temple, not incense, not music, but a feeling, a presence. Like something greater than you has just brushed against your soul. And perhaps, the Sumerians would say, it has. Because now comes the part of the night they revered most. The part no priest can fully control. The part where the gods step silently into your mind. Dream time. To the Sumerians, dreams weren't just fragments of imagination or stories your brain stitched together while you slept. No, dreams were messages, personal telegrams from the divine. They believed the gods spoke in symbols, in shifting images, in quiet voices heard only with the heart. And so, when the oil lamps were extinguished and families curled together under woven blankets of goat wool, a second kind of life began. One made of visions, signs, and silent guidance. You step into a nearby courtyard, where family has left a small table of offerings, a bowl of dates, a clay figurine of a lion, and a tiny scroll of palm leaf. It's a quiet dedication to Nana, the moon god and guardian of dreams. You sit for a while and look at the sky. The Sumerians believed that stars were not just faraway lights. They were record keepers, watchers, silent scribes of dreams. When a Sumerian had a powerful dream, they would say it had come from the stars. And in the morning, they would write it down. Back then, there were no paper journals. Instead, there were clay tablets, small, palm-sized pieces of baked earth, smoothed flat and pressed with sharp reeds. These tablets didn't hold stories of war, kings, or harvests. They held dreams. A lion roaring in the distance? That might mean strength was coming. Or perhaps a challenge that required courage. A river that flowed backward? Change. Uncertainty. The need to reflect. Dreams of flight, of fire, of shadowy strangers, all were decoded, slowly and carefully. The Sumerians even had specialists, dream interpreters, often scribes or priests, who could help uncover the meanings hidden within each nighttime vision. These interpretations weren't superstitions. They were serious, studied, sometimes even consulted before major decisions. Kings asked for dream readings before battles. Farmers did so before planting. Young couples did before marriage. To dismiss a dream was to ignore a divine whisper. In one old Sumerian tablet, a man named Yorsin wrote, "I saw a mountain that wept water and sang my name. The priest says this means blessing. That Nana walks with me." In another, a child wrote of a dream where she followed a turtle across the desert, and the turtle turned into a star. Her mother kept that tablet by her bed, convinced it meant her daughter was protected by something eternal. Some families kept entire boxes of dream tablets, handed down like heirlooms. Some had shelves of them, each one a quiet fragment of their soul's journey. These weren't just stories. They were maps of the spirit. And even when the dreams were frightening, of falling, or fire, or sickness, the Sumerians believed they carried purpose. That every vision had a root. Every shadow had something to teach. Now you lie back beneath the stars, arms folded beneath your head. The wind is soft, brushing against the reeds. Somewhere, a bird stirs in its sleep. And you wonder what the gods might show you tonight. A lion? A tree with silver leaves? A voice calling your name from across a quiet plain? Will you wake and remember? If you do, will you try to understand? In the morning, some villagers will rise early and press their dreams into clay, the symbols still fresh in their minds. Others will visit the local temple, to seek meaning. A few will simply sit by the Euphrates and reflect, watching the current carry yesterday away. And just like that, the cycle continues. Sleep. Dream. Record. Interpret. Grow. There's something deeply comforting about this rhythm. A reminder that you're part of something much older than yourself. That long before podcasts, bedtime teas, or weighted blankets, humans turned to dreams for truth and guidance. The Sumerians trusted the darkness. Not as a place of fear, but of wisdom. They didn't close their eyes to escape the world. They closed their eyes to hear it more clearly. And as you do the same, sleep slowly begins to fold around you. Not like a curtain falling, but like the arms of the earth itself wrapping you close. Whatever comes next, be it lion, river, or star, you'll be ready to listen. Caravan under the stars, the sleepwalk of traders. Far beyond the temple walls and the reed-lined riverbanks, beyond the soft flicker of oil lamps and the quiet hush of lullabies, there lies another rhythm of night. One that doesn't wind down, but instead begins just as the rest of the world begins to sleep. You step into the desert's edge. The air here feels different. Cool and dry, carrying with it the soft scent of sand and old journeys. In the distance, bells ring faintly, not loud or urgent, but slow and hollow, like the memory of a song echoing across an endless plain. There, against the vast and star-draped sky, you see it, a caravan, moving slowly across the low hills of Mesopotamia. These are the traders of the night. The Sumerians were people of great cities and great stories, but they were also people of movement. Traders ventured far from the bustling markets and clay-walled homes, carrying everything from lapis lazuli to dates, incense to grain. But in a land where the sun could be merciless and the heat pressed down like a weight, many journeys took place after dusk. By nightfall, the desert softened. The harsh light of day gave way to a silver-blue calm, and the earth exhaled a long-held breath. Under this sky, traders found not just cooler air, but a kind of peace. They followed the stars, not just for navigation, but as old friends who watched over them. The constellation of the plow, the lion, the goat. All had names, meanings, and whispered stories of the gods. Each night, the caravan set out. You join them now in your mind. The caravan stretches in a gentle line, camels, donkeys, carts, and people wrapped in linen robes that flutter softly in the breeze. A few carry lamps, glowing like fireflies in the dark. Others trust the moon to light the way. Their footsteps make little sound, just soft scuffs against sand and stone. The bells tied around the camels' necks jingle now and then, a lullaby of iron and leather. The traders don't speak much. They don't need to. Their language is in the pace of their walking, the tilt of a head toward a constellation, the careful passing of water from one handskin to another. In this silent, shared rhythm, you feel something else, too, a strange kind of stillness. A peace born of purpose. Though it may seem far from the rituals of temple priests and family stories by lamplight, the Sumerian night caravan was not disconnected from those things, it was an extension of them. Each trader carried not only goods, but intention. A father bringing cedar wood back for his family's roof. A woman hoping to trade spices for precious dyes to gift her daughter on a wedding day. A boy, apprenticed to an elder, learning how to read the stars and feel the change in wind, all while carrying the collective dreams of his people toward distant cities. And on clear nights, when the caravan stopped to rest, traders would gather around a small campfire, sipping hot herbal brews and quietly sharing stories. Some told of strange dreams had on the road. Others whispered of omens, like a hawk seen at twilight, or a cloud shaped like a coiled serpent. Even here, dreams were never far away. Now, the caravan stops for a brief rest. The camels kneel, groaning softly. The traders stretch, pour water into clay bowls, and warm their hands over a quiet flame. The fire is small. The stars are many. Overhead, the Milky Way stretches like a river made of dust and memory. Some traders stare up, silently tracing the same constellations that guided their ancestors generations ago. You sit beside them, imagining the scent of heated sand, the taste of boiled fennel root, the calm that comes when the world falls away and all that remains is movement, breath, and the sky. One elder murmurs something, a prayer to Nana, or perhaps a quiet thank you to the stars themselves. You don't need to know the language to understand. It is the same gratitude a mother feels when her child finally sleeps. The same peace a shepherd feels when all his sheep are still. The same awe a priest feels as the incense rises. Night brings many forms of rest. For the caravan, rest is motion, a slow, sacred walk through silence. As you rise and imagine returning to your own resting place, you carry something with you. Not spices or a lapis or stories etched in clay, but a feeling. A sense that even movement can be meditative. That the journey itself, when done with purpose and care, can be its own lullaby. The stars do not rush, nor do the camels, nor do the traders whose steps blur into the sand and who find, in that blurring, a kind of immortality. And so, as the caravan disappears into the night, becoming little more than a shadow under the sky's vast gaze, you close your eyes once again. Let your mind walk slowly now. Let it drift. Let it travel not away, but deeper in. You are part of this rhythm too, part of the great, eternal caravan that moves across the dreamlands of time. Sleep gently now. The stars will guide you home. Sleep charms and amulets, protectors of the night. As the desert caravan continues its quiet journey under stars, and families back home settle deeper into dreams, there's still one final ritual before true rest can take hold, a small act, often overlooked, yet deeply powerful in its intent. In the soft glow of oil lamps, a mother reaches beneath her child's pillow. Her fingers close around something small, cool, and carved from clay or polished stone. It is no larger than a thumb, yet it carries the weight of centuries. She places it just so, beneath the child's head, or tied gently near the bedpost. Then she whispers a few words, not a prayer, exactly, but a wish. A wish for peace. A wish for protection. A wish for unbroken sleep until morning's light. This is the world of Sumerian sleep charms and amulets, tiny talismans that stood like sentinels over the slumbering soul. In ancient Sumer, where dreams were seen as divine messages and the night was alive with unseen forces, sleep was not merely a passive act, it was a passage into another realm. One where the boundaries between gods and mortals, spirits and symbols, began to blur. And so, before one could enter that dreamscape, they prepared not just with herbal brews or lullabies, but with objects of power, crafted by hand, shaped by intention, and placed with care. Some were carved into the shapes of stars, symbols of Nana, the moon god, whose watchful light was thought to bring calm to the restless. Others resembled animals sacred to the gods, owls for wisdom, lions for strength, serpents for protection. Some were human-like forms, bearing the markings of deities who stood guard over night and sleep. And a few were simply abstract. Spirals, eyes, sunbursts. Symbols that whispered in a language older than words. You imagine now walking through a dimly lit Sumerian home. Walls of mud brick enclose a quiet room where a child sleeps, curled under woven blankets. Near the doorway, a charm hangs from a simple reed hook, its shadow dancing in the lamplight. Another lies just beneath the bedding, warm from the day's sun. These are not decorations. They are guardians. For Sumerians, the night was not empty. It was full of dreams, of omens, of beings both known and mysterious. Nightmares weren't just the random churnings of a tired mind, they could be messages, intrusions, or warnings. A bad dream might mean a bad spirit had entered. And so, these little charms were like locks on a door, or hands held out in defense. Not aggressive, but firm. Not flashy, but resolute. They were often made by family members, molded from clay and hardened by fire. Some bore inscriptions, lines of cuneiform etched with reeds, offering blessings or invoking gods by name. Others were traded in markets, made by those who specialized in protective objects, the way an herbalist might sell remedies for the body. One small amulet might say, "May sleep come swiftly, and may it leave only gifts." Another, "May the shadows pass by this house." And still others had no writing at all, just a shape passed down through generations, trusted because it had worked before. These objects weren't meant to be perfect. They were meant to be personal, worn smooth by fingers, chipped at the edges, darkened by soot and dreams. There's something deeply human in this, isn't there? Even today, long after the gods of Sumer have faded into stone and story, we still place small objects beside our beds. A photograph, a trinket, a crystal, a book, a light. We still whisper things into the dark before sleep takes us. Be safe. Good night. See you in the morning. We still long for the same things the Sumerians did: peace in the body, quiet in the mind, protection in the unknown spaces of night. Their charms, those tiny tokens tucked under pillows, weren't magical in the way modern minds might expect. They didn't promise perfect dreams or eternal rest, but they promised care. And care, in the realm of sleep, is the greatest magic of all. You imagine now returning from the caravan's path, the traders having reached their destination. Goods are exchanged, stories shared. And among the precious items unwrapped from cloth and straw, a single charm is gifted, a carved star, its edges worn, its center warm from being held too often. The receiver smiles. They will place it by their child's bed tonight. Just like their mother did. Just like her mother did. Just like all the mothers, all the fathers, all the caretakers of dreams in every generation before. Night deepens. The stars wheel slowly across the sky. The incense of temple prayer still lingers in the far distance. The soft lullabies by the riverbank fade. But in this quiet, in the hush of true rest, the charm remains unmoving, silent. Sure, you imagine yourself reaching for one now, perhaps not carved from stone, but imagined in your mind. A shape you trust. A memory of warmth. A sense of something greater watching over you. You place it beside you, in thought if not in hand, and you breathe in, and you let go. And the night holds you gentle family evenings, the warm hearth of home. As the stars shimmer above the Sumerian plains, and tiny sleep charms watch silently from their places beside beds and doorways, the soft hum of life continues inside one of the mud brick homes lining a quiet alley. Here, the day ends not with urgency or noise, but with rhythm. The evening rituals of the Sumerian family unfold gently, like the closing of a flower at dusk. The outside world, markets, ziggurats, caravan trails, riverbanks, fades into stillness. What remains is the heartbeat of the home. Inside, the clay walls still hold a trace of the day's warmth. Faint shadows ripple across the interior as oil lamps are lit, one by one, with a practiced hand. The flames don't blaze, they glow. Low and golden. The kind of light that invites conversation, not distraction. A father returns from tending fields. His hands are dusted with earth, his shoulders soft with fatigue. A mother removes herbs from a woven pouch, perhaps mint or fennel, tossing a pinch into a small clay pot over the hearth. The scent lifts, soothing and familiar. Children gather on reed mats, their voices lower now. Not because they're told to be quiet, but because the house itself is whispering. The day has spoken. Now is the time for listening. The evening meal is simple: stewed lentils, fresh flatbread, perhaps dried dates or pickled onions, if it's been a lucky day. They eat with their fingers, seated in a circle, as stories begin to bloom around them. These are not tales meant to teach or impress. They are the kind of stories that families pass like heirlooms. Fables about jackals who steal grapes, wise turtles who outwit kings, rivers that speak, and stars that sing. Sometimes the elders tell these tales. Sometimes the children try. And when the room erupts in laughter, soft and sudden, it fills the space like a blanket, tucking everyone closer. As the last crumbs are wiped away with a piece of cloth, the songs begin. They're not performed, they're remembered. Low, wordless hums rise from an elder's throat, smooth as river clay. Perhaps it's the grandmother, whose eyes have seen more moons than anyone else in the room. Or a grandfather, slowly patting his knee in rhythm. The melody has no name. It doesn't need one. It was born long ago, in the breath of an ancestor, and it has survived, one night at a time, on the backs of voices like these. Humming, whispering, remembering. It's a song that knows when to rise and when to fall. When to carry the children into drowsiness, and when to let the silence take over. You imagine one child resting their head on a folded tunic. Another curls beside their younger sibling, whispering secrets no adult can hear. Their fingers play with the frayed edge of a woven blanket, the same blanket their mother used when she was small. In the corner of the room, a clay tablet rests on a shelf, etched with a protective symbol. Perhaps a charm was placed near the door, earlier in the evening. Perhaps a prayer was offered under one's breath. But now, none of that matters. The home itself is the protection. The thick mud brick walls. The shared meal. The breath of old songs. The flicker of steady flame. The closeness of bodies, each aware of the other's presence even in the dark. This is what sleep looks like in ancient Sumer, not solitude, but togetherness. Not escape, but arrival. Each family member has their place. Each one is known, seen, held. As the night deepens and the flames burn lower, one by one the household shifts into stillness. A final whisper. A stifled giggle. A long exhale. And then, silence. But it is a living silence, full of breath and memory. Outside, the city sleeps too, ziggurats under moonlight. The Euphrates rippling under reeds, shepherds dozing near their flocks, traders curled beside camels, temples cooled by incense-scented breezes. Inside, this family sleeps, wrapped in the oldest warmth there is, belonging. Perhaps you think now of your own evenings. The quiet after dishes. The slow winding down. A lamp. A voice. A laugh. A story. A hum. Perhaps it isn't so different. Perhaps the way we rest tonight is not so far from the way they rested then. Not in technology, but in tenderness. Not in methods, but in meaning. For in every era, in every corner of the world, one thing remains: the heart of a home is where sleep begins. Why? Like a mother, like a friend, like a charm whispered into being. Stargazing traditions, stories written in light. After the last tale is told, and the final lamp begins to dim, the hush of the Sumerian night opens again to the sky. The home rests. Children sleep. Dreams stir. But not everyone is inside. Some step out into the cool desert air, drawn upward, toward the ancient dome of stars that has always watched silently from above. The Sumerians believed the sky was alive. A great, sprawling scroll of divine signs and stories. Its constellations weren't just shapes, they were legends, ancestors, spirits. And night after night, people would lie back, on rooftops of mud brick homes, or stretched out along the soft banks of the Euphrates, and look. Not to escape, but to connect. Imagine a teenage boy with elbows propped on a folded shawl, staring upward, his father beside him. Maybe his mother joins, too, pointing to a group of stars low in the southeast sky. There, she whispers. That's the ram. Protector of the flocks. And next to it? The boy asks. That cluster is the boat of the gods. They say it carries dreams from one soul to another. And so, beneath the stars, a second round of storytelling begins. This time, the tales don't come from clay tablets or elder songs, but from the sky itself. Each point of light tells a different truth. That bright one near the horizon? It's the eye of Ninlil, goddess of the air, who watches over the winds and the breath of sleepers. The slow arc of stars over the river? Those are the scales of justice, hung forever by the gods to weigh the deeds of kings and shepherds alike. They named animals too: lions, bulls, jackals, goats, familiar shapes that made the heavens feel closer to home. Each season brought new constellations into view, and with them, new meanings. New warnings. new wishes. But this ritual was more than just myth. For the Sumerians, stargazing was guidance. Traders used stars to navigate nighttime caravan routes through the desert, avoiding the heat of day. Farmers marked planting and harvest by the slow shift of constellations overhead. Priests timed rituals by the rise of certain stars, believing those stars open windows to divine realms. And ordinary people, mothers, shepherds, children, used the stars for something softer, comfort. To lie back, after a long day, and watch the heavens move. It reminded them that they were part of something bigger. That the gods were awake, even if they weren't. That the sky remembered, even if their own memory failed. Maybe you can feel it now. The warm clay of the rooftop beneath you. The night breeze brushing your face. The scent of cooling earth, and the quiet crackle of a lamp guttering out behind the door. Above you, endless stars. So many it makes you dizzy at first. But then, calm. Because they are still. Predictable. Ancient. In a world where days were full of labor, uncertainty, and storms both real and political, the sky was something that did not change. And that was its gift. It's said that the Sumerians were the first people to create star maps. Not just for use, but for wonder. Their priests and scribes scratched charts into clay, marking the position of stars across seasons, naming them, studying their rhythms. They noticed how some stars never moved, how others blinked out and returned months later. They even divided the sky into zones and used constellations to form early versions of what we now call astrology. But their interest wasn't in predicting fate, it was in interpreting harmony. Where was the balance between earth and sky? Between man and God? Between day and night? They believed the answers were written in light. Tonight, someone in that distant time lies awake, watching. Their eyes find the hunter. The river twins. The horned beast. Their breath slows. They're not trying to stay awake, but they're not rushing to sleep either. For this moment, this stretch of time between day and dream, is precious. It's where reflection lives. Where old stories stir. Where the self is quiet enough to hear something more eternal. And in this, maybe they're not so different from you. You may not have a flat clay rooftop. You may not know the names of your local constellations. But maybe, when the world is quiet, and you step outside, you do what they once did. You look up, you pause, you breathe. Because even now, with all that has changed, those stars are still there. Some burn brighter. Some have faded. But the sky itself, the one that wrapped the Sumerians in rest and wonder, is the same. It still tells stories. It still sings. And it still waits, each night, for you to notice. The Sumerian legacy of rest, a timeless whisper. As the story of the Sumerians comes to a close, it's clear their ancient night was more than just the absence of sunlight. It was a sacred rhythm, an embrace of rest, ritual, and renewal that still resonates today. Though thousands of years separate us, echoes of their bedtime rituals linger in the quiet corners of our own lives. Think about the simple act of counting sheep. This gentle, repetitive practice has traveled through time, crossing continents and cultures. What began as Sumerian shepherds imagining their flocks safe and sound, one sheep at a time, has become a universal symbol of easing into sleep. It's a ritual that reminds us how sometimes the mind needs to slow, to focus softly, to gently drift away. Or consider the bedtime stories. From clay tablets flickering in lamplight to today's glowing screens and cozy books, the tradition of storytelling before sleep remains a bridge. It soothes our restless thoughts, tucks away the worries of the day, and connects us to something larger, a shared human experience. Stories teach us who we are, where we come from, and how to find peace in the dark. The lullabies by the riverbanks, the soft chants from temple priests, the protective charms hung close to beds, these practices remind us that sleep is not just rest. It's sacred. It is a ritual honored across time and space, a gentle ceremony that invites our bodies and minds to heal, to dream, and to simply be. Even the way the Sumerians watch the stars, their constellations and celestial rhythms, carries forward into our own nights. We still look upward for comfort, for meaning, for connection. The night sky remains a silent witness to our dreams, hopes, and fears. It is the oldest companion we have, quietly guiding us toward peace. This legacy teaches us that sleep is a return to the simple, grounding rhythms that have cradled humanity since its earliest days. It's a reminder to slow down, to embrace the quiet moments before rest, to honor the transition from waking to dreaming, to recognize that in every night lies a promise of renewal. In the fast pace of modern life, filled with screens, schedules, and noise, the ancient Sumerian way of preparing for sleep feels like a whisper from the past. A whisper urging us to reconnect with the soothing power of ritual. To find calm in the simple acts, a counted sheep, a bedtime story, a flickering lamp, a whispered lullaby. So tonight, as you prepare for your own rest, remember this ancient gift. Sleep is sacred. It is a journey back to the quiet heart of the world. A journey shared across millennia, from Sumerian shepherds to your own peaceful night. May your sleep be deep, your dreams gentle, and your rest rich with the timeless rhythm of those who first found calm beneath the Mesopotamian stars. And just like that, we've drifted from the starry skies of ancient Sumer to the cozy corners of our modern lives. Amazing, isn't it? How a shepherd's whisper and a lullaby by the Euphrates still shape the way we sleep today. If tonight's journey brought you peace, wonder, or even just a yawn, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more dreamy tales from history's hidden corners. This is Thunga's Story Time, where every night becomes a timeless adventure. Until next time, stay curious, stay cozy, and may your dreams be as ancient and magical as the stories we share. Good night, dreamers.